Setting up Cryptomator with Google Drive. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. One of the common pushbacks I get when I suggest using cloud storage of any kind is concern that the data you place in the cloud might be stolen if you lose your account, for example, might be compromised in some way, that it might be visible to rogue employees at the data center, wherever your storage happens to be, or that the organization that you're using to store the data is somehow looking at your data for who knows what, right? Maybe they're using it for AI training, maybe they're using it for something else. To be clear, I don't believe any of that is happening, but it doesn't matter because there is a solution that covers all three problems, and that is encryption. Cryptomator is a tool designed specifically for cloud storage services like Google Drive. So what I'm going to do in this video is walk through setting it up. Before we begin, I do want to point out that there is one important setting that you need to make sure is set properly for Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and click on my Google Drive icon down here in the notification area and click on its settings. Go to Preferences, Google Drive. The setting that you want to make sure is here is Mirror Files. The default is to stream files. That basically acts as if the files are on your machine, but they're actually being streamed more or less constantly from or over your internet connection. With mirror files, all of the files are downloaded and are actually on your PC. That makes tools like Cryptomator work significantly more seamlessly. So with that, the only real change we might want to make sure is set for Google Drive. We can move on to Cryptomator. We'll actually just search for Cryptomator, and there it is at cryptomator.org if you want to go directly to it. We'll go ahead and download now. It's using the Windows XE installer. Cryptomator is available on other platforms, which is one of the reasons I find it to be a very useful tool. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Once the download is complete, we're actually done with the browser, so I'm going to go ahead and close that for clarity. We will, of course, agree to the license terms and hit install. It does require some low-level access, so there's a UAC prompt. It's been installed. That part, at least, was simple. Now, all we need to do is run it. On the Start menu, and I'm just going to type Crypto or CRYP to search for Cryptomator and run it. I recommend that you let Cryptomator automatically check for updates as appropriate. What we're going to do is add what they call a vault. A vault is nothing more than a folder dedicated to Cryptomator that is placed in your Google Drive. We'll go ahead and click Add, New Vault. Choose a name for the vault. You can call it whatever you like. Click on Next. A custom location is what we're going to look for. We'll choose our Google Drive, My Drive. We'll create a new folder in this drive. I'll call it Cryptomator Data. And we'll select that folder. Click on Next. Expert settings are up to you. For purposes of this example, since most people don't need them, we'll go ahead and not do anything out of the ordinary. This is the password for your vault. This one's important for two reasons. One, this password needs to be very secure. This is the password that would give you and anybody else that knows it complete access to all of the data. That's why it needs to be a secure, strong password. For purposes of this video, I'm going to use a stupid short password. And yes, it's very weak, but I was able to type it in twice. Now, you won't be able to access your data without the password. If you don't have the password, you can't get in. However, that has been enough of an issue for people in the past that Cryptomator allows you to save essentially a recovery key in case you ever lose or forget your password. I'm going to say, yes, please, better safe than sorry. Especially as you start using this tool and begin to get familiar with it, I recommend you do this. However, especially if you're in a high security situation or you don't have a way to securely save the key that's about to be generated, well, you can say no and commit to never losing your password. We'll create the vault. This is a recovery key. We'll go ahead and copy that to the clipboard. I'm going to run Notepad and place this into a text file. Save as. For the moment, I am going to place this just in a random place. In fact, I'll go ahead and put it on the desktop since so many people do that, so that we can see that what we've created here is a text file with that key. Save this file securely. Do not put it on your desktop. Put it somewhere that nobody else can access. There are a couple of approaches to that. One is you can encrypt it safely or securely in some other location. You could zip it with a password and save it somewhere. You can print it out. You can print it out and save it in a safe. You can put it on a USB thumb drive and put it in a safe. You get the idea. This is more or less equivalent to knowing the password. This would allow you and anybody else to get back in. Having saved it, we'll hit next. We've added a vault. The approach that Cryptomator takes is that you lock and unlock a vault. That's the way they think about it. So we'll go ahead and unlock now. Type in the password that I used. I'm going to go ahead and remember password. I'll get to that in a moment. And we'll click unlock. Unlock successful. Remember my choice and reveal drive. So what's just happened here? Well, we now have a new drive on this PC, drive F. Drive F is not a real drive. It's a virtual drive. It's being managed by Cryptomator. If I create a file in this drive, I'm going to go ahead and create a new text document and put in some super secret data in my text file. I'll hit save. And sure enough, there's the file in drive F as if it were on any other drive. But here's what Cryptomator has been doing in reality. If we take a look at our Google Drive, go into Cryptomator data, go into my Google Secure Vault, there's stuff here. There's nothing that somebody would be able to understand without the actual password, without Cryptomator interpreting this data. This is your encrypted data. This, and only this encrypted data, is what gets copied to the cloud, because this is what's in the Google Vault. In fact, if we go back to our browser and fire up drive.google.com, you'll see we have Cryptomator data, my Google Secure Vault, and all of the encrypted data. That's the only thing that's been placed online. There is no unencrypted version of your files in Cryptomator that has made it to the cloud. It's all here and secure. So when you're done using the files on your secure drive, again, this acts and looks like just another drive. You can do whatever you want here. You can create documents, you can store audio, you can store videos. It will all be encrypted, and only those encrypted versions would actually be uploaded to Google Drive. When you're done, say you've done whatever it is you need to do on your secure data, you can, of course, close this, and you can then say lock. All that lock really does is it unmounts the drive. If we go back to Windows File Explorer, you'll see that that drive F, it went away. There is no drive F anymore. The only representation of the data that you've placed in Cryptomator is the encrypted data in Google Drive. Now, one of the choices you saw me make was I allowed Cryptomator to remember the password. In general, that's probably not what you want to do. What it means is that if I say unlock now, I didn't have to enter the password. So if you happen to do that, you can lock the drive again, which again dismounts it. In Vault Options, there's the name. You can have it lock automatically. You can unlock when starting Cryptomator, which is kind of useful if this is a drive you're using constantly. After you unlock, you can reveal the drive. You saw that Windows File Explorer came up as soon as we hit unlock. Over here in password, we can say, forget the saved password. Boom. This means that you will now have to enter the password in order to unlock the drive. If I click on unlock, it's asking for a password. And only when I enter the correct password is the drive mounted and my unencrypted files available to me. Ultimately, that's it. We now have a way of storing arbitrary data in a cloud service like Google Drive with complete security. Because the only thing that is ever placed in the cloud is completely encrypted. Your password, the decrypted files, that never leaves your computer. Now, before we finish, there is one drawback that I need to point out about using a tool like Cryptomator to encrypt data in the cloud. And that's simply this. If I go over to drive.google.com and I go back to, my drive, the files that are here, you can see that I have some files that are not encrypted. Those are just files in my Google Drive. I can open them, I can play with them, I can change them, I can share them, I can do whatever I want with them. However, all of this other stuff that's been encrypted, you cannot access using the web interface. You need to be able to use Cryptomator to access that data, to decrypt that data. And that happens only on your PC or your mobile device, because there is a version of Cryptomator for mobile devices. That's the only drawback. I use Cryptomator extensively for a lot of truly secure information, and I feel great about it because, again, there's nothing in the cloud that somebody can actually access. Everything is encrypted and secure. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/176624. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.